السلام عليكم شباب. كل سنة وحضراتكم طيبين. يا رب إن شاء الله تبقى الأيام القادمة أيام خير على حضراتكم يعني. In previous lecture that I started talking about the attestation engagement. Okay, if you remember, we have three types of engagement or attestation engagement: examinations, review, and agreed upon services. Okay. In previous lecture, I found what I meant by examination engagement, which provides a positive conclusion. Okay, accord positive conclusion to identify whether the information are stated in accordance with the applicable criteria. Okay. Also, that I talked about the review. Review will provide underrate or negative assurance. Okay. And sometimes review services already prohibited because of the difficulties that face the provider for setting the standards standards to provide the assurance services. Today I will continue with the attestation engagements. I'm talking about agreed upon procedures engagements. According to the agreed upon procedures, we have three parties should agree upon everything related to this engagement. The three parties are the assertions provider, management, for example. Okay. Second party the service provider, as CBFR, also as example. Okay. The last one, the third party or the interested or intended users. So according to the agreed upon procedures engagements, we have that three parties: provider of the assertion, provider of the engagement services, okay, and the intended user of the report or the outcomes of the agreed upon procedures engagement report. As I mentioned, the three parties should agreed upon everything related to the agreed upon procedures engagement. All of them should agreed on the objectives, on engagements, the level of assurance to be provided, the procedures that conducted by the CB firm to arrive to its conclusion. Everything must be agreed among the parties or the three parties. You should understand and know that the level of assurance according to agreed upon procedure engagements is varies, varies. It's because it's based on the agreements between the three parties. Maybe the intended users require only limited assurance, or that reasonable assurance, positive assurance, or negative assurance. So the parties related to these services must agree upon the level of assurance to be provided by the CVE firm or the engagement provider. Also, that you should understand that the report or the outcomes of the agreed upon services or engagement must be limited to their in distribution, okay, to only the parties involved in this engagements, okay, or involved only on this agreements, okay. So that according to this engagement, the reports are limited in their distribution to only the involved parties who know the procedures, who know the limit, the level of assurance, who know the procedures conducted by the auditors, okay, know everything concerning to the service or to this engagements, okay. So that you should understand that this engagement or their services, the level of assurance it already varies, okay. Also that outcomes or auditor reports concerning to agreed upon procedures engagement must be limited only to the three parties اللي احنا قلنا عليهم قبل كده, okay. And now we will differentiate between three types of that attestation engagements. As you know, we have three types of attestation engagement: examination, review, and agreed upon procedures. I will differentiate it based on the level of assurance, that amount of evidence to be evaluated, accumulated, and and used as a base for conclusion, okay, looking at the form of conclusion and distribution of the outcomes of each services, okay. Examination, looking as I mentioned before, looking the examination provides high level of assurance. So looking the author is required to accumulate more evidence as possible, okay, to provide looking a reasonable assurance or positive assurance. So the author will extend his audit plan to accumulate more evidence as possible. Okay, not according to the examination, the level of assurance is a high level. Okay, so the auditor will perform, or the conclusion of the examination services, the author will provide a positive assurance. Okay, so the author will try to extend his evidence, extend the audit plan, or sorry, examination plan, to accumulate more evidence as possible. The outcomes that of examination, or the examination report may be distributed to the or interested users, or all stakeholders. The second type of attestation engagement is review. Review here, the author will provide a moderate level of assurance. Okay. At the same time, his conclusion will be limited, or author will provide a negative assurance. Okay, that also the author will try to accumulate significant evidence to form his conclusion. Okay, distribution of the review report is general. Okay, can be distributed to all the stakeholders also as examination. The last one, the last engagement, or last attestation engagement, agreed upon procedures. Its level of assurance, it's already, as I mentioned, it's already varies, depends on the contract, or based on the agreements between the three parties. The assertion provider with third-party low interested users, and to be firm law service provider. Okay, also once with that level of assurance is varies, so evidence also will be varies. Okay, but that evidence also will be varies. If the author provide a positive assurance, that means the author will accumulate more evidence. If the author provide negative assurance, okay, that the author will accumulate less evidence. Sure. Okay, the conclusion would be considered as the findings. Okay, that distribution, as I mentioned, it's already limited only to parties involved into this agreement or this contract. Okay, according to this comparison, I already finished the engagement, that the attestation, or the three types of attestation engagement. And now let's talk about one of the new services may be provided by the CBFR, which related to prospective financial statements. So the author will examine also prospective financial statements. Prospective financial statements refer to the projected or expected or estimated financial statement which related to the future. So the management may present projected or estimated income statement, estimated balance sheet, estimated cash flow, which related to the forthcoming year. Okay, but the management, or the management assertion may be presented in financial statement, or estimated financial statement, or projected financial statements. Anyway, that as you know, that any services provided by the CBA firm as examination or review, that or agreed upon procedures or whatever. Okay, the main objectives of this service, we will try to reduce the risk related to the information and reduce the risk information. Okay, by providing the assurance, or providing type of the or level of assurance to increase the reliability, credibility, and relevance of the information that may be used as a base for decision maker. Okay, according to prospective financial statements, we have two types of financial statements. Now, financial statements or prospective financial statements may be forecasted or may be projected. What the difference between forecasted prospective financial statements and the projected financial statements? The main concept that it's already more close to each other. Okay, but we have only one one difference. Okay, booking forecasted, booking or projected, estimated financial statement presented to interested users. In general, may be presented based on the prior experience of company, okay, booking or expectations, but based on the prior experience of company. But the projected financial statements include booking hypothetical assumptions. Okay, the main difference here, booking the projected financial statement or projected information in general, it's based on hypothetical assumptions. Okay, booking there is no prior booking experience concerning to this assumptions or concerning to projected financial statement or projected information. For example, looking at the forecasted financial statements, may the company provide information or forecasted information based on the previous experience, assuming the company sold its product, okay, based on the season. Okay, as you know, sometimes revenues or expenses may be increased in certain season and decreased in other seasons. Okay, so if a company presented financial statements or forecasted financial statements related to certain quarter or to certain season, okay, but that this amount may be close to the actual because it's based on the previous experience of company. Okay, يعني for example لو انا بتكلم على season معين، okay، ممكن بيحصل فيه increasing the revenues. Okay, that's mean when company provide the forecasted financial statements for forthcoming year or forthcoming quarter, okay, or forthcoming season, okay, the revenues will be increased also, okay, and presented with higher amounts, okay, that in case of that forecasted financial statement. The example for projected financial statements, which are already based on hypothetical assumptions, that means there is no experience, or past experience to present the certain information. Okay, so the management well presented its projected financial statement based on certain hypothetical assumption. For example, in case of the company entered into two new markets, okay. So, but the financial statements or the revenues or expenses related to these products in the new markets, okay, that will be accompanied with uncertainty. So, the company just prepare projected financial statement or estimated financial statement and maybe differ from the actual performance. Okay, يبقى احنا طبعا دخلت new market او the company launching new products. Okay, so the expected revenues, expected operating expenses concerning to the new product or new services, okay, will not be more accurate as forecasted financial information. Okay, يبقى هنا فكرة projected based on hypothetical assumption. There is no experience. For example, the company launched a new product or entered into the new market. Amounts in our which related to revenues, related to expenses, related to cash inflow and cash outflow will not be accurate as forecasted information. Okay. يبقى ده كده المين difference او main types of prospective financial statement, forecasted financial statement, and projected financial statements. Prospective financial statements may be provided to all stakeholders, okay, as a general user, okay, but as a general use of the statements, or the company may provide financial statements or a prospective financial statement to limited users, okay, or to limited use, okay. For the general use, but perspective for general use, or prospective financial statements for limited use, okay. Forecasted information or forecasted financial statements, okay, can be provided for both general use and limited use. However, projected financial statements or projected information, it's better to be restricted to limited use, okay? Because for example, when company entered in agreement with bank to receive a loan, okay, the bank may ask the management to provide prospective financial statement. The type of prospective financial statement, according to this case, would be considered as a projected financial statements. Projected financial statements. Why looking the projected financial statements? It's better to be limited use. Okay, because it's already based on theoretical assumptions. It's based on hypothetical assumptions. يعني في افتراضات معينة okay بنبني عليها ال projected financial statements. And this hypothetical or assumptions, it's already known by certain user. Okay, like لو البنك هنا ممكن نطلب من الكومباني the prospective financial statement or projected financial information. يبقى البنك already sure or understand the state of nature, understand the hypothetical assumptions. يبقى هو البنك يبقى already know that understand these assumptions. For example, طبعا فكره state of nature ممكن يكون في عندنا certainty والrisk and the uncertainty. Okay, risk state of nature based on the risk which related to the probabilities. يبقى البنك هنا already understand the hypothetical assumptions, understand the state of nature, understand the state of nature as a risk which required probability under and the uncertainty state of nature that state of nature under uncertainty there is no any probabilities. يبقى هنا البنك already know and understand the hypothetical assumptions. Okay, يبقى it's better to limit the projected financial statement which already based on hypothetical assumptions to users. Okay, يبقى هنا ما بقدمش ال projected financial statements دي الا اذا كان حد طالبها بشكل معين لان هو already understand the hypothetical assumptions which already used to or as a base to provide or to form the projected financial information. Okay, for example here that forecasted can be provided for both general and limited use. But the projected information it's better to be restricted to the to limited use. Okay, or limited use. لأن limited users are in a better position to understand the prospective statements and its related assumptions. يبقى هي الفكرة هنا فكرة الاسsumptions اللي احنا بنينا عليها الفاينانشال information. Okay, لو انا بتكلم على forecasted financial statements يبقى البيزس it's already known. الكومباني already عندها فكرة experience او previous experience عندها باك جراوند تقدر تعمل فيها forecasting financial statements والفوركاست ده بيبقى more closed او more accurate than projected financial statements. انما for projected financial statements انا بتعامل مع new situation, new market, new products. Okay, so that ممكن I suppose something. يبقى هنا بفترض شكل معين او بفترض مثلا ان لما بدخل في الماركت ده الكومبيتور ممكن يسيبوني او ممكن يحصل في مشكله ما بيني وما بين الكومبيتورز and so on. So ممكن project according to the hypothetical assumptions بقدر ابني بيها projected financial statements. Okay. Also, for example, a potential venture capital investors can ask the responsible party about hypothetical assumption. هو اصلا كمان البنك او whatever intended users when he asked the management to provide prospective financial statements, he may also ask the management to provide the hypothetical assumptions. يعني ممكن يطلب كمان ايه hypothetical assumptions اللي افترضتها الكومباني. Okay, او اللي it's already supposed to present that prospective financial statement and هو already sure understand sure and understand the state of nature, understand that these circumstances or these hypothetical assumptions. Okay, يبقى هو already فاهم ايه هي hypothetical assumptions which already differ from general users or other stakeholders. Okay. Also because general users may have difficulty in interpreting the hypothetical assumptions. وممكن interested users or other stakeholders okay لما مش professional okay ممكن يبقى عندهم difficulty to interpret or to understand the hypothetical assumptions اللي هي افترضتها المانجمنت in projected financial statement. So it's better to limit the use of the projected financial statements. Okay. The service to be provided which related to the prospective financial statements, the auditor here or CPA firm will examine the prospective financial statement. in examination or an examination level, the CPA firm should evaluate the preparation of prospective financial statements. Also, the CPA firm should evaluate the support underlying the assumptions. Okay, as we will see, in the examination of prospective financial statements, it's based on the reasonableness or based on the completeness of the hypothetical assumptions. Here, the author is not responsible for identifying the accuracy or identifying the accuracy of prospective financial, prospective data, okay, or prospective financial statements. But the main objectives of prospective financial statements or examining the prospective financial statements, the author will or the author is responsible for evaluate the reasonableness or the completeness of the assumptions, not looking the amounts presented in the financial or prospective financial statements. يبقى هنا auditor responsible for evaluate the reasonableness, okay, and the accuracy of assumption instead of the amount presented in the financial or prospective financial statements. Okay, so the author should evaluate the support underlying assumptions, or also to be affirmed that we can evaluate the presentation of prospective financial statements for conformity with presentation criteria or presentation guidelines. But as you know, the general rules that we have information, okay, and related criteria to be evaluated, but to as a base to evaluate the information. Okay, also the auditor for examining the prospective financial statement will issue an examination report. Okay, according to this report, the author here is not attesting to the accuracy or the prospective financial statements. As I mentioned, the main focus in examining the prospective financial statements, the author will focus on the completeness and the reasonableness of underlying assumptions. The author will evaluate the assumptions, okay, the reasonableness of assumptions. Yeah, you can also, for example, a company thermal forecasting of assuming the company عملت forecasting of the forthcoming period revenues. Okay, but ممكن تقول والله انه في عندي revenues والrevenues دي حصل لها duplication, for example. Okay, or in the company increase the increase sales or increase the production more than the current capacity. Okay, but how come that how come company provide how come company produce products or sell products more than the current capacity? That's mean unreasonable assumptions. Okay, or the company invested more money in new product lines or in acquiring new equipment, يعني كنا بنعمل expansions of the operations. Okay, we need to evaluate the reasonableness of the assumptions or the reasonableness of the information. Okay, يبقى هنا لو انا بقول for example ان الكومباني حصل duplication للبرودكشن. اوكي، يعني حصل duplication that mean الكومباني لازم تكون عملت investments. اوكي to increase the capacity. اوكي to produce the products. اوكي، يبقى لو ما حصلش فكره الانفستمنت او ما كانش في عندنا investment decision. اوكي that mean ان الاماونت اللي هو forecasted revenues or projected revenues دي will not be considered as reasonable amounts. Okay, يبقى هنا هو الauditor or the CPA firm in examining the prospective financial statements, the author should focus on the underlying assumptions. Okay, evaluate the completeness and reasonableness of underlying assumptions instead of the data itself. Okay, but instead of the disclosed items or disclosed information in prospective financial statements. Okay, but the main objective, and you should understand it well. Okay, the auditor here should examine or in examining the prospective financial statement, the main focus on the reasonableness of underlying assumption instead of the data itself. Okay. Also, to make the evaluation, CPA firm needs to become familiar with client's business. Okay, we can sure how to examine the financial statements, how to review financial statements, how to review, how to audit the financial information without understanding the business, the client's business, client industry, client transactions, nature of business, and the nature of transactions. Sure, here also under with the examining of the prospective financial statements. Okay, the author should understand and know with the client's business and the client industry. Okay, one of the most important items here, the CPA firm in examining prospective financial statement should identify the significant matters on which the client's future results. As I mentioned before, if the company expected or forecasted duplication of revenues, okay, have a candidate duplication of revenues, okay, or duplication of production, okay, you sure related items or related decisions, okay, non-iron investments in product lines or non-apparent capital expansion, okay. That means author here when identifying the significant matters on which of the client's future results, okay, must be determined. Okay, at the same time, the author should determine the appropriateness of assumptions which already used as a base to present the prospective financial statements. Okay. Here we have an example of examination report. Examination of prospective financial statements report. This report should contain title, okay, address, okay, who's used here this report should be addressed to the board of directors and the manager or stakeholders. Okay, also the CPA firm should identify the prospective financial statements. Okay, which information will be examined. Okay, prospective financial information. Also, the author should refer to the applicable standards on auditing, okay, to perform or to conduct the examination of prospective financial statements. Okay, statement also that stated also the statement for management responsibility and CPA firm responsibility. In particular, the author should include his report should include the underlying assumptions. Okay, the management responsibility in presenting the prospective financial statement and its related hypothetical assumptions. Also, the author here will refer to the purpose and the restricted distribution of prospective financial statements. Okay, as I know, we have forecasted financial statement and projected financial statements. Okay, also should identify whether the prospective financial statement is already presented as a general use or as a limited use. Okay, that must be mentioned and stated and in CPA firm examination report. Okay, also the examination procedures must be included in the included also in examination report. The author should identify procedures, identify the evidence. Okay, identify how to evaluate the reasonableness of underlying assumptions and so on. All of these items must be stated in the examination reports. Okay, the last one, the author here will state also the level of assurance. Okay, statement on negative assurance if assumptions provided a reasonable base. Here, as I mentioned, the author evaluate the underlying assumptions, not the items or the numbers or the amounts presented in projected financial in prospective financial statements. Okay, so the author here the opinion expresses opinion concerning to the assumptions or reasonableness of the underlying assumptions, not the amount presented in financial or presented in prospective financial statement. So, in opinion, if the prospective financial information is properly prepared on the basis of assumptions and presented per the financial reporting framework. Okay, so the author here will provide a lower level of assurance, okay, because he's talking about the future, he's talking about the uncertainty situation, okay. So the author cannot provide reasonable assurance or positive assurance. So the author will provide only limited assurance or negative assurance لأنه بنتعامل مع uncertainty أو بنتعامل مع future in general. One of the most important statements in examination of prospective financial statements or examination report, the author will add the warning paragraph. The author will add warning paragraph. So because here we are deal with the uncertainty situations, we are deal with the future. So it is necessary that the amount of the forecasted the amount projected to be close to or close to be close to the actual performance. So sometimes we have a difference, okay, sometimes we have that some discrepancies between the actual performance and the projected or prospective financial statement. So the author should assure or should state that in his report, okay, as a warning paragraph. Let's look at an example for examination report, okay, a report on prospective financial statements. The first paragraph that we have examined the projected or the projection in accordance with international standard on assurance engagement applicable to the examination of prospective financial information. The author here stated the information and with that related applicable framework, okay. Management is responsible for projection, okay, including the assumptions. The author here said the statement related to the management responsibility in projection, or also in identifying assumptions or underlying assumptions or hypothetical assumptions that used as a base for projection. Okay, this projection has been prepared for described purposes, okay, as the entity is in a startup phase. The projection has been prepared using a set of assumptions that include hypothetical assumptions in a marketing company as startup. This is the first stage of the company here establish the new project or the new business. Okay, so we are in a startup phase. Okay, so the projection related. So here the author review. Author examine the projected data, not forecasted data. Let's start at the startup point of the startup phase. Okay, ما عنديش هنا background, ما عنديش previous experience. Okay. Anyway, the author will express also his opinion based on our examination of the evidence supporting the assumptions. Okay, nothing has come to our attention which causes us to believe that this assumption don't provide reasonable base for the projection. The author will express his opinion concerning to the underlying assumptions, not for the author here, but does not express his opinion concerning to the hypothetical assumptions. The author evaluate the reasonableness and completeness of a hypothetical assumption, not the amount or not the projected amounts. Okay, as I mentioned before. But also here, the author will provide negative assurance. Okay, when he mentioned that nothing has come to our attention. Okay, even the author also will provide limited assurance, but can provide negative assurance instead of positive or reasonable assurance. Okay. The last paragraph concerning to the burning, even if events anticipated under the hypothetical assumption described above occur, actual results are still likely to be different from the projection, since other anticipated events frequently don't occur as expected, and the variation may be material. Okay, but the effective burning paragraph, it is necessary that all forecasted or projected data will be equal the actual performance in the future. Okay, but it is necessary all the hypothetical assumptions to be occurred in the future. Okay. So the author should state this paragraph in his examination report. Okay. And now I already finished this attestation engagement. Okay, this just example according to statement on standards. Okay, that for accounting and review services contain several procedures, and you ask it to differentiate between these procedures, which one is used or required for completion services, or which one is required for review engagements. Okay, we can try to solve these questions or this exercise at your. And now I will talk about other audits or other limited assurance maybe engagements may be provided by the may be provided by CBFR. Already we talked about the audit of historical financial statements. I talked about the review of interim financial statements. I talked about the attestation engagements, which includes examination of prospective financial statements, agreed upon procedures. Okay, that procedures engagements. Okay, and the review of financial statements or interim financial statements. That's with and as you know, we have many services may be provided by the CBFR. And now I will talk about other types that of services be provided by CBFR. Okay, which includes audit or limited assurance engagements. These types of rather than the audit of the historical financial statements, which already prepared based on the GAAP practice. Here, we have three types of limited assurance engagements. The first one, audit of financial statements prepared on other comprehensive basis of accounting. As you know, in general, the financial statement must be prepared and presented in accordance with applicable financial reporting or common applicable financial reporting framework, as GAAP, general accepted accounting principles, or IFRS, international financial reporting standard. But in some circumstances, the company may present financial statements on the basis of other basis. Okay, for example, other comprehensive basis of accounting, as we will see, in a cash basis, or with the other basis, as we will see. Okay, we have many comprehensive bases. We have many other comprehensive bases for preparing the financial statements. Okay, rather than a common or general framework, as a GAAP or IFRS. In case of the company presented the financial statement based on other comprehensive bases, okay, these statements may be reviewed, these statements may be audited by CBFR. Okay. The second type of limited assurance engagements, audit of specified elements, accounts, or items. Maybe the author or CBFR may be asked to review or maybe asked to audit certain items. Okay, sales, for example, instead of reviewing the total items presented in financial statements, may author asked to review only one item in financial statement. May also the author may be asked to review inventory or to review certain assets presented in financial possession. Okay, or review part of a cash flow statements, for example, cash inflow and cash outflow from operating activities. Okay, instead of reviewing or audit the all financial statements or cash flow statements. That means the author may ask you to audit certain items, audit certain elements presented in financial statement. And the last engagement, that compliance letter. Okay, that compliance letter when the company deal with when the company entered into the agreement with bank, okay, to receive a loan. Okay, we have here we have certain assurance engagements may be asked by the bank. May the bank ask the company to provide assurance which related to that compliance or that compliance letter, as we will see in details. let's talk about the first engagement when the company presented the financial statement on the basis of the other comprehensive base of accounting. Okay, we have that other basis that rather than the common GAAP or IFRS framework. Okay. May the company presented the financial statement based on cash or modified cash basis. As you know, under GAAP or under IFRS, the most of financial statement presented based on the accrual basis. Okay, sometimes the company use the cash basis or modified cash basis. As you know, cash basis for accounting, okay, all receipts or all transactions to be recorded must be expressed in terms of cash. The transaction to be recorded, okay, and presented in the financial statements based on the cash basis, okay, must be in cash. Okay, but so the company will record all cash receipt and all cash disbursements. Okay. For modified cash basis, okay, also the cash company will use cash basis for cash receipts and cash disbursements, okay, except for certain items such as fixed asset and its related depreciation and accumulated depreciation. Anyway, here the management may present the financial statement based on the cash basis instead of accrual basis. Okay, so the company here use other comprehensive base of accounting, something that rather than with the common GAAP or common IFRS framework. Okay. The second type of other comprehensive base of accounting, the company may use basis used to comply with the requirement of regulatory agencies. For example, we have that certain regulatory, okay, or certain requirements by regulatory agencies. For example, نتكلم على railroads, نتكلم على utilities, or insurance companies or railroads companies or utilities company should follow certain requirements, okay, which already issued by related regulatory agency. Okay, يبقى هنا الauditor should perform or should evaluate the financial statements for railroads or utilities or insurance companies based on certain criteria that based on other comprehensive base, instead of using GAAP or IFRS framework to evaluate the fairness of the financial statements presented by certain companies. Okay, which already used certain requirements for preparing the financial statements. Other companies also may use income tax basis, because may company use the tax law instead of GAAP or IFRS in presenting financial statements. They may implement tax law instead of GAAP or IFRS. So income tax basis or income tax law will be used as a framework to evaluate the fairness of the financial statements. Okay, but most of the or many small business uses this method. Okay. Also, financial reporting framework for small and medium-sized business. Okay, IFRS, AICPA, it's already developed a certain framework for small and medium-sized business. Okay, that must be followed instead of general rules or general GAAP or general IFRS. That's mean for small and medium-sized business should follow a self-contained framework. Okay, a self-contained framework which already issued by AICPA instead of using the general GAAP or general IFRS rule. Okay, this framework, it's already planned of traditional accounting and accrual income tax methods for accounting. According to other audit or limited assurance engagements, we have the first type of this engagement when the auditor audit the financial statement based on or evaluate the fairness of financial statement based on other comprehensive basis. For example, cash basis. For example, certain requirements of regulatory agency for income tax basis or framework which already presented by AICPA for small and medium-sized businesses. Okay. As you know, when auditor conducted the audit based on looking other comprehensive basis of accounting, the CPA firm should understand, we should understand and know looking this basis. Should know looking this basis to evaluate the fairness of financial statements. For example, in auditing railroad companies, okay, which already prepare its financial statements based on complicated accounting requirements, which already required. Okay, so it's required the auditor to have specialized accounting knowledge to conduct the audits. Sure, the auditor here should understand all requirements which already issued by a certain regulatory agency. Okay, for example, railroads, okay, or utilities companies, or insurance companies, as example. When client follow a comprehensive base other than GAAP or IFRS, the auditor must make sure that statement clearly indicates that they are prepared using another basis of accounting. When prepare the audit report, the auditor should assure that and mention mention the statements in his audit report. Okay, this is an example of a report on income tax basis. Okay, looking as an example of other comprehensive basis for accounting. This example independent auditor's report on financial statements. We have audited accompanying financial statements of Triangle Partnership, which comprises the statement of assets, liabilities, and capital, income tax basis. Okay. And the related statement of revenues, expenses, income tax basis. Okay, here, the author assured that all data, okay, based on income tax basis. Okay, the company presented assets, liability, equity. The company present the revenues, expenses, and so on the basis or based on tax basis or income tax basis for the standard here rules that which already followed by the company in presenting its data. Okay, in presenting the assets data, liabilities data, capital data, revenues data, and expenses data. Okay, here the second paragraph, the author will present the management's responsibility for presenting the financial statements, and the author responsibility as shown in previous in previous examples for auditing or reviewing the financial statements. Okay, according to opinion, in our opinion, the financial statement referred to above present fairly in all material respects. Okay, the assets, liability, capital of Triangle Company. Okay, and its revenues, expenses, and change of them. Okay, accounts for the year then ended in accordance with the basis of accounting. Okay, here also the auditor well expresses opinion to identify whether data presented by the management presented in accordance with certain criteria, or certain criteria here, low income tax and income tax basis. Okay, basis of accounting that must be mentioned. We draw attention to note blah blah of the financial statement, which describes the basis of accounting. Okay, that in the basis of presenting the financial data. Okay, the author also will refer to the basis of accounting, or the basis of presenting the financial statements. Okay, this is an example for the first engagements. We look other comprehensive basis for accounting. The next one. The CPA firm asked to audit specific elements or specified elements or specified booking accounts or elements. Okay, for example, the author asked to review sales, okay, of retailer store and shopping center to be used as a basis for rental payments. Here, the author will review or audit only one items. Okay, the sales. Other example. Okay, but the author may ask it also to include reports on realities, profit participations, and the provision for income tax purposes. Okay, but for income tax purposes, but not the author will audit or review certain elements, accounts, or certain items for certain purposes. Okay, yeah. For example, هنا الauthor audit sales for identifying the rental payments. Okay, here we can the author review with realities, profit participations, okay, and the provisions for income tax purposes. Okay, also here we can when author audit we can specify booking elements or accounts or items. That will be the author here conduct the audit as audit of financial statement, but less sure طبعا and in accumulating evidence or whatever. But the audit of specified booking elements, accounts, or items is much like an ordinary audit of financial statement, except in it's applied to less than the full financial statement. هنا just be a review or the audits, okay, only certain items or only certain transactions. Okay, by note the auditor will conduct the audit of specified booking elements, booking as audit of financial statements. Okay, materiality level here, one of the most important concepts. Okay, materiality here, but most important concept that must be implemented in audit is specified elements or accounts or elements. Because it's the materiality is defined in terms of elements, accounts, or items being audited rather than for the overall statements. The materiality concept will be applied to specified elements. Okay, but take care, because the effect is to ordinarily require more evidence than it's being verified is just one of many parts of the statement. يعني هي المين concept here of materiality هنا sure ان انا بعمل audit of certain items. يبقى لما بعمل audit of certain item or certain accounts the amount of materiality, okay, or acceptable variation or acceptable sorry, or acceptable error or fraud in certain items will be identified looking at lower amounts as possible. So looking the author will accumulate more evidence. Okay, يبقى احنا وقت لما بعمل review of sales revenue لوحده كده as a certain or specified item. Okay, يبقى هنا الauditor will identify the materiality level or acceptable error or fraud in sales. Okay, looking at lower level as possible. So looking the auditor is required to accumulate more evidence. Okay, طبعا ده rather than لو انا بعمل review للsales within the financial statement as a whole. For example, if the sales account is being reported on separately, a smaller misstatement will be considered more material than it was when a sales are one of many accounts in full financial statement being audited. يبقى لو انا بعمل review او بعمل audit للsales as certain items, يبقى sure هنا الauditor will set the materiality level at lower level as possible. يبقى the small misstatement would be considered a material amount. Okay, طبعا ده rather than لو انا بعمل audit للsales, okay, within او through conduct the audit of financial statement. يبقى يعتبر item من الايتمز اللي موجوده في الفاينانشال statements. يبقى لو السيلز لوحدها as specified items, the author here will consider a smaller misstatement as a material amount. So the author must extend their audit efforts to include other elements, accounts, or items that often are interrelated with those or that are being audited. The author also should review and audit the related items of sales, for example, accounts receivable and cash. Okay. According to specified elements and accounts, you should know that the auditor will conduct the audit as audit of financial statements. Take care of materiality level. Okay, here the auditor will set the materiality level as a lower level as possible, okay, and consider small misstatement to be material, okay, and accumulate more evidence. This is the most important items related to specified booking elements accounts. Booking auditing specified booking elements accounts or items. The last services may be provided by CBA firm that compliance letters and similar reports. Okay, the author here but may ask it to provide audit report, okay, to identify whether the company complied with the agreements or complied with the debt compliance letter and so on. You know what will be considered as a compliance audit. Okay, in the auditor here, conduct audit to identify whether the company already complied with certain agreements or certain rules. Okay, clients occasionally enter into loan agreements that require them to provide lender with a report from CBA about the existence or non-existence of some conditions or some terms. Okay. For example, a bank may require a company to maintain a certain dollars amount of working capital or maintain a certain amount of inventory or certain amount of cash ratio or liquidity ratio or profitability ratio or whatever. Okay, so that would be considered as the terms or the condition of contracts. Okay, here the auditor may ask you to review whether the company comply with these conditions and the company maintain a certain amount of working capital. Okay, at specified date, and to obtain an audit report that stated whether the company complied with the stated working capital requirements. Here, the author will issue a report on debt compliance and similar engagement as a separate report or by adding a paragraph after opinion paragraph. That means for debt compliance letter, the author has two options. Okay, has two options to provide separated audit report. Okay, or compliance report, or add a new paragraph in auditing financial statements. Okay, the author may also add a new paragraph after his opinion paragraph in conducting the audit of the financial statement. طبعا it's preferred طبعا من الauditor to the same auditor conduct the audit. Okay, the same auditor conduct the compliance report or compliance report. Okay, but the auditor should provide a debt compliance letter only for a client for whom the auditor has done an audit of the overall financial statement. As the same auditor لو بيعمل conducting of audit financial statement يبقى هو responsible also for debt compliance letter. Okay, or conducting طبعا فكره اللي compliance audit. Okay, لان ممكن يكون في certain data يعني it's difficult to be known or to be audited if we hire a new auditor. Okay, يبقى it's better to conduct the both اللي هو conduct compliance that ممكن a letter to conduct the audit of financial statements and audit and compliance audit. Okay, the author's opinion is a negative assurance concerning to the debt compliance letter. Okay, here the author will express express his opinion as a negative assurance or a limited assurance, stating that nothing came to his attention. Okay, that leads to author to believe there was a non-compliance with that compliance letter. Okay, this is the example of that compliance report. Independent auditor's report we have audited in accordance with auditing standards, generally accepted wherever. Okay, here the author also identify the items being audited, that compliance. Okay, and the criteria used. Okay, to evaluate the company already to evaluate whether the company complied with these debt conditions or not. Okay. This is the end of the lecture. Okay, this is the end of the lecture. Thank you so much. See you in the next lecture. Next lecture, God willing, I will talk about ACL, audit command language, and how to audit the financial statements through the computer or through the IT aids. Okay, thanks so much. See you next time.